Let me go back to this part again. We could use common wisdom. People, just do something for yourself. Let's do not don't rely all the way on technology, scientific fact, when we can do these things ourselves. It tells you that God is separated the waters from the land, and the land appeared. And you can see the Atlantic Ocean. You can see as if these bodies of land, the pattern upon which they is designed, look like all of this earth was together. It is consistent. If you take this is consistent with Bible props, and you create a bowl and you put you some sand in. You can do this yourself. Cover it over with clear water where there's no land appearing. But if you take and dip down into the sand or dirt, what you got covered with water, and pile it up in one place, and you create mountains and little valleys and hills in there, you'll find that the part where you taken from the bottom of it and you created your ocean like a little stream under there, you find you have solid ground on this here. Well, you look at the ocean, it's deep. But when you look at the mountains, understand where did the mountains come from? Was it part of this part that God divided, separated the waters from the earth and the dry land appeared? By God taking the mountains and taking and making mountains from the part of the land that He taken from the bottom of the ocean and making great hill, and then the land appeared. All of this is consistent with Bible prophecy. This does not match with evolution. A great boom. Evolution teaches us that everything happened by a way of an accident. When you dissect this and come up with a true definition, evolution tells you it happened by an accident. A great boom. How? Only way anything could explode, it have to be entombed in a chamber where it can be compressed. And if all of this habitation of the earth, moon, star, and everything came by the way of a great boom, it meaning that there was a mighty gases all out in the universe that was so dense until it compressed itself and it caused explosion. Impossible. Impossible. You can't get an explosion in zero gravity. It's impossible. It have to have a force pushing against a force. It had to be entombed by walls or somewhat, or have two unlike chemicals mixed in some what when the charge of these two gases ignite these gases, they expand so fast, and that's where you get an explosion by the vast expansion of energies. So it tells you there, if this was so what they said, the right chemicals meshed themselves together, John, and it was a giant boom, would have that mean it was a gas out there that, and this would indicate that there's no way man could go in and out of space without it being yet some pockets of gas up there in the universe, which explode every time he creates in a vehicle up there. It's impossible. This takes away myth. The reason I say this tells you when you look at the pattern of the earth, how it is consistent with Bible prophecy that He separated the earth from the water. Now, verse 10. Verse 10. Genesis verse 10. 1 verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together the waters called He seas. There it goes. It's consistent. God saw that it was good. Verse 11, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herbs yielding seed, and the fruits, trees yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself, upon the earth. And it was so. Verse 12, and the earth brought forth grass and herbs yielding seed after his kind, and the trees yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, after his kind, and God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Verse 13. Now, stop right there. Due process of life. And the third day had begun, yet there was no sun or no moon in the air. There couldn't have been a season. There couldn't have been a weather pattern here in there, because there was no energy, unlike energy. It was just there. There was no sun. The sun wasn't created unlike energy. So if the due process of life had begun, there had to be scavengers created to upkeep the earth, since there was no man yet created to upkeep the earth. Common wisdom will tell you that. If this would be, these would have to be special beasts designed in somewhat, would be cold-blooded creatures, because there was no sun in the pyramid. So these creatures, the first creatures which would come from this creation, would be consistent with dinosaurs, turtles, and certain fish origin, which was in the sea. Because these would be cold-blooded creatures, meaning they didn't come from the way of the sun. The sun comes, when the sun come up, these creatures created after the sun would be hot-blooded energy. In other words, these creatures was created, their adaptability had to be consistent with the environment upon which they was created. It was a cold planet at the beginning, because it tells you here in day 3, there was no sun yet in there. Let me read number 14, Genesis 1:14. And God said, let there be light in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons. This is after the third day, and for days and for years. There was no definition of no days, there was no season before this transformation. And let them be for signs in the firmament, and let them be for sign lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule, the night. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night. And God divided the light from the darkness, and God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. Only during the 4th day, their seasons. It is consistent with Bible prophecy. So, if the true process of life had begun before the sun, the one that caused the rotation of the earth. That means those days, and no doubt, had to be longer than the days that we experience now, because they had little or no rotation. These rotation before the sun, if the earth had rotated, it couldn't have rotated around the sun because there was no sun. Common wisdom will tell us that. So the definition of a day could have been as long as years or thousands of years. There's nothing for us to calibrate this by. Only when the sun came, we will be able to calibrate the days, the seasons, and the years, as it's spoken of in this part on the 4th day, spoken of in Genesis. So, what did it do? What were the side effects? The water is a cold energy. God spoke that. Once God created the sun and placed it in the earth, the sun is a hot energy. When that hot energy meets the cold energy, you created a generated electromagnetic field is born. This became the circumstance,